In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the power of customer feedback, but we are also going to be talking about the difference between reactive feedback to the a-holes in your inbox versus strategic feedback, which is what we really want. Yeah. So we're talking about preemptive feedback when we're about to launch something or we're looking at bringing something new to the table versus, after the event or product or service was released, the feedback on, that post experience. So, hey, tell us about your experience with this product, service, or event, right? That's a very different thing to feedback that is preempting a launch or a new offer. Okay, so we're going to talk about all of that today, but I'm also going to be talking about, I mentioned about the a-holes in your inbox. Look, I've had many. There is a little bit of personal storytelling as well mid-show. And yes, I went down a rabbit hole. I've actually re-recorded this intro because I get very personal. I talk about everything from, my mother passing in palliative care through to staffing issues through to that 1-star Google review. I'm going to talk about all of that in this episode as well. And the reason I've re-recorded this intro, which was, initially just a welcome to the show and you will get this in this episode. I've re-recorded it because I want you to know what's coming up because I want you to listen and I want you to hear me. Yeah, I want you to hear what this is about because feedback is amazing, but we still need to protect our heart, energy, and space. And so, I think there is a way to do it, customer feedback, that will actually propel your business forward. And that is the focus of today's episode. Yeah, that is the focus of today's episode. But yeah, I get a little bit personal, guys, but that's just me. That's just me. I can't help it. That's what I do. And if you ever want to get personal with me, I welcome it. I really do. I'd love you to actually reach out. Podcasts are an interesting thing because you can't see who's listening. I mean, I don't know who you are. I would love to know who you are. Reach out. Let me know you've listened to this episode. You can send me a DM on social media. Head to @Studio Talent Collective. I'm an Instagram lover, but if you're on Facebook, that's fine too. But yeah, if you want to shoot me a DM on Studio Talent Collective Instagram, that would be amazing. You can also send us an email, podcast@josephinelancuba.com, and I'll pop those links in links in the show notes for you as well. But yeah, guys, reach out and share your experiences because I think that is what actually builds a community. That's what builds a community. And the reason I created this particular episode is because I am also launching a new offer in the new year. I'm creating a community of studio owners and industry leaders. And this is about connection, community, conversation. And I'm actually currently sending out surveys and getting feedback before I launch that particular offer to make sure that I kind of get it right. And well, as right as I can get it before I launch. So I'm not going to tell you publicly right now what that particular offer is. That's coming soon. Stay tuned. There is a community of like-minded humans that I'd love you to be a part of that will be coming soon in the new year. But for now, let's gather the data, let's get some results from that data, and let's move the needle forward for your studio biz.
I'm Josephine Lancuba and welcome to Studio Talent Collective, the podcast for dance and performing arts studio owners. Here we share industry insights, inspiring stories, and real talk to help you build a thriving studio and in-house talent agency. As a performing arts business coach and talent agent, I'm all about dreaming big and growing together as a community. You're in the right place. Let's leap in.
Okay, welcome to the show, everyone. Welcome to Studio Talent Collective, the podcast. Now, today I am talking about customer feedback, and the reason I'm doing that is because I had so many ideas bubbling of recent, so many, and I really wanted to, create new things. And it wasn't until I took a step back and thought, do people actually want what I'm about to create? Now, feedback can be done in hindsight. So after something has happened, to gather data and information to see how you can improve upon things, what worked, what didn't, sure. Feedback can also be used as a tool before launching something new. So it's really about, for me right now, I'm using feedback more as a tool to see if the thing I'm about to create is what people actually want and how they actually want to participate. So I am creating a social community for not just studio owners, yes, studio owners, but I also want it to be for industry leaders in the performing arts space. So I'm creating a performing arts studio ownership and industry leadership community networking connection group. And the reason I'm doing this is because I desire it, right? I desire it for myself. So it's also because I know how much I benefit from it. So I'm in other communities and I really benefit from them. And I thought, how cool would it be to have something like that for our industry? No master classes and all that jazz, no more to-do list. It's not about that, feeling bad if you didn't do the homework. Like, it's not about any of that stuff. I wanted it to just be a conversation virtual space for, like I said, people within our industry. So I'm creating that. But then I thought about it more and I thought, do people really want what I'm going to create? And so I started making a couple of phone calls to clients and asking them questions and seeing if it was of interest. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to formalize this and I'm going to put it into a survey. And it has 7 questions. Mind you, 2 of the questions is your name and your email address. So, really there's 5 questions because they're not real questions. So 5 key questions in my survey, just to make sure that what I'm creating is aligned to the needs of the people I'm creating it for. So I reached out to, I think it was, a bunch of my current clients and a bunch of people that have purchased, programs from me in the past. And, and people have started responding, which is nice. You're not going to engage everyone, sure. I started off with an email, but that didn't get much engagement. So then I sent a text message to follow up and say, hey, I've done this survey. It only takes 2 minutes. I would love you to, jump in and do it. And they have. So that's been really, really super positive. But the core reason for this is because sometimes we can jump the gun and create new things, new programs, new time slots. Like you might have a preschool program that is, going gangbusters and you're going to open up another time slot, but you do it just what works in your schedule, what works for you, without actually consulting those that might be interested on what time would you actually be willing or available to do a preschool class. Look, that's an example and I'm making it up, but you get the point. Sometimes we jump the gun, we do what we think is best, what we want, but we don't actually ask our clients. So, for example, with this particular concept, which, by the way, I am going to release publicly, I've only talked to clients and ex-clients about the concept. Not there yet to make a public announcement here on the podcast. I'm not ready to tell thousands of people about this particular project just yet, but it is coming. I will be launching in the new year and I'm collecting data right now. So just to give you an example of some of the key questions that I'm asking, and this can be relevant to any sort of survey that you're putting out as well. And don't be afraid to do surveys, guys. You might say, people don't do it. Remember, I did a text follow-up the next day and that got me much more engagement. So this is like anything, you need touch points. You might need to speak to them in person and say, hey, do you mind? I've just got a QR code here on the desk. Do you mind doing this quick survey for me for 2 minutes? Like, no one's going to do anything unless you put a bit of love and attention into the details and the touch points. So I just want to preface that. But yeah, some of the questions I asked were, what best describes your role in the business. Now, for you, it might be maybe gathering data on, what their occupation is could be helpful, right? So you might have some different options, stay-at-home mum, corporate professional, blah, 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 like whatever. You could even just have other, or please describe your job, or, put your job title down, whatever. And don't make people feel bad about being a stay-at-home mum as well. So you can say whether you're in the question, you can say that, whether you work for a company yourself or you're a stay-at-home mum, stay-at-home parent, please pop down your job title in the description. Okay. What are your in my particular survey, it said, what are your biggest business challenges right now? Select as many as you want. So there's a drop-down menu there. But for you, it could be, what are your biggest, challenges when it comes to your child's development, or what are you looking for when it comes to your child's development? I'm making it up, and you can have different options. So it's about those challenge and those sticky points. So who are they? What are the challenges that they face? What are they looking for essentially? What sort of format do you find most valuable? So this could be, let's say you're launching a class, you might talk about what day or times of the week. And so for me, I talked about, something a bit different because my format is not about that. But for you, it could be related to the schedule and time of day. What works best for you. Would you be interested if I invited you to participate in a free trial of this program? Yes, no, maybe. So there's all these different types of criteria questions you can ask, and you can find out if it's even of interest. Now, this is before launching something new. Like I said, that's what I'm in the middle of right now. So that's a tool for launching something new. But then, of course, a survey can be used in hindsight. Now, again, you may not be launching something new, but it could also be for your concert season coming up. So you can use surveys, questionnaires, etc., feedback forms as a tool to help you improve upon your upcoming concert season, for example. So here in Australia, we call it a concert, not a recital or whatever, but, showcase, show, whatever. It's all the same, but different. And so what I would say to you is there could be some things that you're unsure about, like, would you value, I'm making it up here, of course, but, maybe you're unsure if you should be providing a snack table. Maybe you're unsure if you should be providing memorabilia merchandise. Like, do you guys want a flower pin or a stuffed toy, whatever? I say stuffed toy because my daughter's danced in a showcase before with a studio, and they provided these little fluffy branded toy sort of things. Like, their company color was purple, so they had these little purple bunny things that they sold as a memorabilia piece. So whatever it is, it could be a pin, etc. So, what merchandise piece would you prefer for our memorabilia? And you give them options, and then, you go with the highest vote instead of just what you want. Like, what do people want? How much would you be willing to spend on that, up to $5, up to $15, up to $50, like whatever, like $15 to $40, have different price points. What would you be willing to spend for a memorabilia piece, etc.? What time do you consider to be too late to wrap the show? I'm making it up, of course. And again, I get it. Venues, timelines. We can't take everything into consideration. But my point is, I think there's some power in that. Now, you can take or leave the feedback, and there's going to be items on that list that you simply can't achieve. So don't open up a can of worms either. If there's something that is unchangeable, don't add it. You can, if that you're looking for future solutions. So say our concert this year wraps at 10 o'clock. We are looking for alternative options next year. What time would feel best for you to be Like, you can change it up for future reference and preface that there. But yeah, look, grain of salt with some people. Look, there's always going to be those a-holes. And I say that with the utmost respect. There's always going to be people you never please. Like, I'm not talking about the person who contacts you after the concert and tells you that, the video wasn't good enough. It's like, dude, the video was like $20 digital download. You got the whole show, one camera view, but whatevs. Like, if you want something different, then you could have, maybe we should have charged $60. Would you prefer that? But the point being is that you can't please everyone. And I say that because once, I'll never forget, many years ago, and this was like, oh my God, so many years ago, we did our show. It was phenomenal. We had a low-cost video option at the time. I think one of our videographers at the time piked out and we had to get a replacement, but the replacement was okay, but it was a one-camera view, very simple, not zooming in on all the kids, but you got to see the overview of the show from a one-camera view of the whole stage, decent quality, very cheap, like $20 digital download. And the person that got it just wasn't happy with it. They wanted more close-ups, more attention to detail. And they gave us a 1-star Google review on the show. They're like, oh, the show was good, but I'm very disappointed with the quality of this and the video. And so they give us a 1-star review on Google for this freaking video, man. And it's like, I could go and I could reflect on that. And I could, I could take that one person's opinion, or I could survey the entire, student board and ask them what they thought about it. Because if I just take that, this is what happens when we receive negative feedback too. You go, oh my God, that's the feedback, that one person. That's not what I'm talking about. I want to be really clear. I am not talking about that one a-hole that like literally emails you when you get home from bump out on the concert telling you that your video sucks or whatever, or that, you were so upset that your child got out 10 minutes later than planned. And then they put like a 1-star review on you. And it's like, I'm not really interested in that guy. That guy is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a holistic view of your customer base and not just the nitty gritty little nasty people that just want to drag you down. And honestly, when they give you that feedback, if it's same day of concert, like do not open your inbox. Do not, because you need to protect your heart and energy, and like make sure that you're scheduling even a day off the next day. Now I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here on feedback. I will never forget the feedback I got when my mother passed away. I was in show week when my mum was in palliative care for pancreatic cancer. And I told my team, I'm really low energy. My mother is dying. Literally. I am not well. I'm pulling myself up as best I can, and I've done the best I can to get to this moment. I'm really going to need you guys to, pull your weight, lift, you might need to lift me up or shake me out of it. I'm doing my best. I'm going to be professional, but I want you to know that energetically, I'm really low. Okay, so I said that before we started. I said that's not a great way to start, and I get that. But I need you to know this. So if you see me a little bit upset, a little bit detached, or a little bit whatever, in just these little moments, just know where my head is. Okay? And then I honestly couldn't believe it. I had a girl that was working for us, a 19-year-old girl, who worked for us like a couple of hours a week. I gave them all Christmas presents backstage, gave them a big hug, said thank you, gave them Christmas presents backstage. It's all I could muster up energetically. I was having a very bad lead up to the show and a terrible show week. We had a phenomenal show, great show. She came up to me and was really nasty, and she started talking badly about me to the team, whatever one of my teammates told me, and we nipped it in the bud on the day. And then the day after the show, she sent me a lengthy email of how she didn't feel acknowledged. How dare she not celebrate her more? How dare I not, la, la, la. And, after all she's done for me, she couldn't, she didn't get an applause on stage. This was because she was leaving the studio. Mind you, we were in the middle of a studio sale and we weren't doing public announcements about certain items. We were just trying to retain our students for the new owner. So I had a bigger picture in mind. She wanted the big send-off on stage, and I get that and I understand that. But not only was it not aligned to our strategic purposes at the time of the sale of the business, it also wasn't energetically something I was getting on stage to present for. And also, I actually gave her a big hug backstage and a gift, and I thanked her for everything. And we did a big team send-off backstage with gifts and, hugs and kind words. And in my mind, that felt more genuine and connected than the big clap on stage and the big hoo-ha, which, again, I just didn't have the energetic space for. She was very upset and, unfortunately, sent me a horrific email the next day. And I just thought, you know what? That's not feedback I'm going to take on. And because I responded to, I said, I cannot believe this is the email that I'm receiving the day after the show when I told you that I needed some love and support because my mum's in palliative care. I said, and quite frankly, I'm shocked that you care this much, that you wanted a bigger send-off, because you didn't even show up to the technical rehearsal day. You went to another studio for their rehearsal. So you chose another studio over ours. And for the last 3 months, you've hardly shown up and you've been cancelling shifts left, right and centre. I'm sorry. I genuinely didn't realise you cared that much based on your behaviour. Your words can be anything you want, but your behaviour speaks volumes. So I say to you this, when people give you feedback, it is something that you need to also protect your heart with, because there will always be people that give you feedback that actually don't deserve your time, space, and energy. Like the Google review guy, like the teacher who was leaving us to tell me, and then sends me an email to tell me I'm a piece of shit, when I gave her very clear, thoughts and feelings of where my headspace was at. And I actually genuinely connected with her in a way that was intimate to team, that I thought was respectful and kind. And if that's not good enough, then that's not my issue. That's your worthiness issue. That's not mine. And I don't need that sort of feedback. So that's a massive tangent. I just went on a very personal story, but I like to keep it real here on the show. And the reason I keep it real is because I'm not a fluff kind of guy. I don't know how to do fluff very well. I know how to present well. I know how to smile and grit my teeth when people aren't always the best. I know how to sell and show up, but I don't know how to do fluff. Yeah. So protect your heart, protect your energy, know when you need to look at feedback. If you don't want to see your inbox the day after a show, take a day off and put your email on away mode for a couple of days and then come back to it, because there's always going to be an a-hole in your inbox from my experience, right? From my experience. So that's your showtime energy check. What we're talking about here is not that sort of reactive response feedback. We're talking about thoughtful, strategic feedback. That's what we're looking for. So creating surveys, creating, opportunities, asking people in the foyer, giving your top clients a call and asking them for feedback, totally different scenario. Now, we talked about, preempting what's coming up. We can also do feedback as an afterthought. So what was your experience like? What did you think of it? Was there anything? And you don't have to just have tick boxes. You can have open-ended questions on things that require open-ended. So like, for example, if there is anything you would like to see improved on our next production or in this classroom environment or on our recent merchandise offer, if there is anything you'd like to see or we could improve upon, please leave a comment below. Please describe, how can we improve? How can we better this product? How can we better this service? Please describe. If you want to, you can make feedback after an event anonymous. You don't have to get their name and email, but I would be asking, what at least age group their child, I'd be asking some questions because that feels a little bit relevant. But if they don't want to leave their name, or if they're happy to leave their name, fine. I think anonymous post feedback is probably better, especially if you're trying to get honest feedback on a particular product or service or event. Okay, so do think about that. All right, guys, so you can do feedback forms in the way of, Google Forms, Jot Forms. If you have a platform that supports that, then use that. I just use Google. I think everyone knows Google. It's really easy. Once they fill it in, it drops into a spreadsheet on the back end. It's just a simple way to do it for me. It saves in my G Suite. Just makes sense. So, you can do it that way. But again, getting feedback these days, remember, it's a noisy, busy world out there. Do the follow-up. You'll need more touch points to get the results. You can't just drop an email and expect miracles. Ask people in the foyer, do whatever you can. But get it done. Get it done. Yeah? All right, everyone. Feedback is a key ingredient to your success. Remember, though, we're talking about strategic feedback and not reactive a-hole feedback. Keeping it real for you. Keeping it real. Have a beautiful day, friends, and see you back next week. Bye for now. Mwah.
This episode is brought to you by Studio Talent Collective, helping you go from studio owner to talent manager with confidence. Ready to start your own in-house talent agency? Connect with me at josephinelancuba.com or via the links in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, and review. Thanks for listening and keep shining.